On a day in 1947 in the vast New Mexico desert,
A radio operator.
I caught a strange signal. Make your dog bark furiously endlessly.
Even though we've connected many different devices,
I still can't decipher this freakish sound. When communicating with another station,
I was told that signal is coming from the Roswell area.
I can't control my curiosity. People,
The staff decided to bring the dog and the radio.
get in the car and drive in the direction of the signal.
On the way,
I caught a strange smoke and light in the distance. Suddenly, your car has mysteriously stopped working, and the dog jumps out, bark and run away. Following the animal, I found an area on fire, with something weird in the middle.
right then, a sound that made me panic,
Looking up at the sky,
where a bright light is shining down. 2003 in Antarctica,
a group of scientists discovered on a scanner,
a strange object.
buried 5 meters under the ice. I don't know what to do. They decided to transfer it to another research station. Meanwhile, at the University of California,
Photography Professor Julian is giving a lecture
the girl is constantly flirting with you.
because you ignored her.
This student sent you a rude email.
But Julian just shut down the computer. After class, I met Doctor, who had just received a satellite image of a strange object.
It's found in Antarctica. This object is so big, at first they thought it was a fossil whale. But then, they've detected an unusual radio signal
Coming out of it,
They recorded this signal on a CD and gave Julian research.
after just a few hours, Julian was completely caught up. It's about understanding the hidden meaning of this signal. It has a well-defined text structure and pulse width.
But this is not a random signal. When running a special software on your computer, the results show that the signal has a very high frequency. It's beyond anything on Earth. Julian brought these findings to the big command
and persuaded Mr. Crew to take part in the investigation. At the same time,
at a lab in the Falkland Islands. 2 scientists also discovered a strange radio signal.
this can't be deciphered.
They moved it to the observatory in Arizona. Here are 2 other scientists
Notice that the signal has been amplified.
and decided to pass it on to NACA.
A few days later, Julian was on a flight to Antarctica.
A violent storm makes the plane shake violently
The pilots had trouble landing.
due to limited vision.
Fortunately, the base has bright lights,
Help the pilot navigate the runway. Aircraft one-piece slide.
but it finally stopped safe. When Julian walked into the base,
I was welcomed by Nyla and recommended to the person in charge, Dr. Jeep then,
Julian was taken to sea. The mysterious object has been unearthed,
but still wrapped in ice. As a rule, they let the ice melt naturally.
even though the rate of thawing is happening abnormally.
Both Iraq and Julian said.
This object may be of extraterrestrial origin.
As Julian came closer to take a closer look and touch the ice,
A strange energy flowing through your arm.
make me relive all the memories from the past days.
When I pull out my hand, my skin is red.
At that time, Doctor,
Your ex shows up.
I don't believe Julian has,
Stay out of trouble.
but still pleading.
You're acting right because this project is so important to you. That night, Julian dreamed that something glowed inside the ice. I woke up in the middle of the night to a strange noise.
And out of the room,
There was a black shadow sneaking around, and lots of puddles on the floor. While tracking,
I felt something behind me and turned around.
mysterious energy for you. See images of the universe.
Events in New Mexico and strange creatures. Then Julian woke up again.
Not sure if I was dreaming or if it was real. The next morning, Ella led Julian on a tour,
Experiments on genetically modified foods.
where they've grown corn in Antarctica.
The temperature in the corn growing area is quite warm.
So the employees work in thin clothes. Julian noticed,
Kate and I seem very close.
and feel jealous. Meanwhile, a government agent and defense minister,
Looking at Julian's file,
Eric and Batman, they found out
Julian had an inappropriate relationship with a student.
in the past. That's Kate. And so, I had to stop teaching for a while.
Switched to work in RKHA. They also checked the signal that RKHA shared.
And it's identical to the signal. 1947 at the base. Julian spent all his time studying signals.
But there's not much progress. I was contacted by the media.
Green Sam joined us. You shared about how he found the signal.
Coming out of the ice. How about lunch in the dining room?
Julian
Get to know the rest of the file. They asked about your work,
and Father UT mocked me.
because we believe in aliens. Not long after, Team 5 found out they're losing contact. What happens when there is a storm? Julian checked the object and was amazed to see how much snow had melted.
So that they could almost see the object inside. Nyla feels a slight impulse in the joint.
But when you're about to touch the ice,
Julian stopped it.
the initial signal is not harmonious.
When Ring discovered it,
What this means, there are currently 2 or more separate frequencies combined into a signal.
unable to connect the satellite, Julian convinced Sam to install an antenna.
And connect a computer to it. to continue to analyze the signal.
The next morning, the whole building.
Shake for a few minutes, and the mysterious object fell off the mount.
When Team 5 comes to check,
They're finally seeing the real object. There's very little ice around.
it doesn't look like anything they've ever seen. And when the end touches,
She was electrocuted.
they concluded that the object was made of erupting rock.
It's a hint of an asteroid.
The signal is identical to the data recovered from the plane.
To make Julian believe that this is a black box, hurry back to the computer. He explained his theory.
This object fell to Earth by mistake, and it's sending signals for rescue.
To combine all this new information with mathematics,
Julian's finally deciphered part of the message,
they still don't understand it.
and Father UT kept making fun of me. The study group took a break from snacks, and Father UT insists that
The idea of aliens is crazy, but everyone agrees with Julian's theory. At which point, they were called back to the maintenance site.
because an employee discovered a crack in the object,
Group discussion about opening it out, and they worried about the possibility of a virus or pathogenic organism,
as Father UT pointed out that the labs are sealed up.
and they agreed to open it the next morning. The 100 men were summoned to the White House.
To discuss the terrible news related to the object. Mystery. Contact with the base is still impossible due to the weather.
That the government has allied itself with a Russian submarine,
And what about the base?
with nuclear warheads ready to launch.
The next morning, Team 5
Connect the object to one of their machines
by cable.
and create an electrical reaction to neutralize the shocks.
The object is still generating electrical current inside.
But now they can touch it unscathed. And then they use a saw to start cutting open the object. Detect a softer layer underneath the hard crust. The rock took a piece from the object.
And confirm that it's a carbon alloy, was exposed to extreme heat.
On Julian's computer, the message is constantly changing, and you told Nyla that the object is trying to communicate. When Nyla mentioned the video game My Knees, it gives you an idea of how to approach the message.
And after some testing, I finally translated it.
Don't open it.
Julian and Illa frantically run to the maintenance site
But when they got there, it was too late. Luminous energy is escaping from the object.
and make the person holding the saw scream in pain.
His body began to melt into.
Shortly after, an explosion occurred, injured many employees, destroy most of the items in the room,
It also damages the generator. Power cut of the entire base.
until the battery is working. After getting the flashlight,
The remaining group of people down to the maintenance site to check.
the injured,
They're all alive.
except for the man with the saw, he was burned to death.
When they look closer,
The hole that the saw blade leaves on the object,
they're amazing. I've discovered organic parts that look very strange.
Pilot Tony poked it with a broom handle
And the membrane starts to burn until a new hole appears.
to reveal what's actually inside the object. It's a frozen alien.
They couldn't determine whether it was just sleeping or dead. Suddenly, Nyla screamed that she wasn't feeling well.
When the nose starts to bleed,
She collapsed and her face began to melt.
soon enough, more and more employees are going through this. Make the group realize there's a virus that escaped from the object.
And currently allaying in the air, killed them one by one.
Panic. The survivors ran into a closed room
To be safe,
and watching aliens through security cameras,
Ray Sam tried to contact Please Help.
but the communication system still doesn't work. Iraq explained that sometimes
A disease that will slow down to avoid killing the host.
it needs to survive. So,
It's likely that the survivors were also infected.
while the team is arguing about what to do, aliens open their eyes. When they look back at the screen, the creature has disappeared from the area. They agree to find it and get the guns that the pilots carry. With only a flashlight in hand, group started 6 maintenance site control.
I panicked when I felt something behind my back. But it turns out it's just the end. Ray Sam is also looking for.
I didn't know that something was watching him.
Remotely, it disappears when Ray Sam comes back with the flashlight.
That presence then started tracking Tony. People screaming when you see something moving in the dark. When Julian tried to climb,
Through some boxes to go to the next floor of the base. Power kids in rooms they don't use.
and Julian fell. You quickly recover and start going under a strange sound until we finally find the alien. Seems to be scared. Julian put the flashlight down.
While using soft words, try to prove that you're friendly.
The aliens are slowly coming out,
And put the claw near the flashlight. It absorbs its energy until it shuts off.
and then the creature gets close to Julian,
And carefully grab your head with both hands.
sharing energy. When aliens open their eyes, Julian started. It's a beautiful picture of the rest of the universe. Right then, the others show up and Father UT tells Tony to shoot. Alien gun bullets enter the room.
A strong energy ray shoots out, knocked out Tony and GI Sam as they tried to get close.
After all the energy has been released, the aliens fell and died.
It causes its body to decompose to the point of disappearing.
Tony explained that he thinks the aliens want to kill Julian, but you are ready.
That it feels like when aliens touch.
It is very safe to enter. It just turned to fear when Tony showed up.
At that time, the White House. I finally found a hole in the storm.
Contact the base.
The 100 men explained.
They know about aliens and the infection.
So June assured him that the disease has not left the base. Then the 100 men also told them about the incident in New Mexico and deadly pathogens
That the aliens are immune to. These creatures
communicate with each other through the spirit and destroyed everything on the Star of Fire.
When Julian announced the aliens were dead, the Secretary of Defense decided to blow it up. Base is the only option they have to remove your withdrawal.
He wants the 100 to lie to Team 5.
That help is coming, but the 100 refused and just told them.
A Russian submarine is on its way.
Julian read the hint and asked how many hours they had. The answer is 3 hours.
After the conversation is over,
Father UT is crazy.
and said he wanted to leave by plane.
Even though the storm is big, Julian reminded him that they were infected.
And leaving means with bringing the virus to the outside world, as Father UT suggested that if they're actually infected,
They're dead. As the submarine gets closer,
scientists run some blood tests to confirm they're not infected.
although Julian pointed out that
This new virus can be extremely small.
and hiding in protein. Take this as a sign to leave. Tony supports him,
But others don't. Kate's lack of support made Father UT angry.
and he insulted you when he tried to attack you. But Julian was faster and knocked him down with a punch. My father and Tony will try to leave at any cost.
The others took Tony's gun and go change the password on the locks.
In the Russian submarine, they're going to fire a nuclear missile in 18 minutes. At the base, Kit and Julian just change the last lock and hold hands to comfort.
Until they heard the gunfire.
In the dining room,
The youngest father and Tony jumped into WIL Sam together.
and stabbed him in the neck with a stick. In the struggle,
The gun was shot several times and hit the wall, hitting Juliet's shoulder. When Raysam fainted, Chan UT shot again hit the shoulder.
Iraq recognized the 2 men will escape through a drainage pipe in a cornfield.
And send Julian after them by shooting through all the locked doors. The youngest father and Tony reached the cornfield.
When they run, their presence began to kill them all.
The corn plants confirmed that they were actually infected.
Tony changed his mind and wanted to stay, but father still wants to escape.
Threatened Tony with a gun.
Right then, Julian shows up at the window and Father UT shoots him first, but Julian dodged it.
After a struggle,
Father UT overpowered him and shot Tony dead. I can hear Julian approaching. Father UT continues to flee.
kill all the trees as they pass by. He tried to shoot Julian a few times and missed,
Finally, both of you are in the pipeline.
and quickly overcome them to find a big staircase.
The chase continued as they went up, and Father UT kept shooting in vain,
When he finally gets to a door, he immediately rushed out.
just to see a vortex of energy trapping him. Julian also went out, but an invisible barrier stopped me from going any further.
I tried to tell him not to move and to slow down, but I didn't listen and keep panicking because I can't breathe.
Gradually, the energy enveloped Father's body and decomposed him, until there's nothing left.
Energy also slowly enveloped Julian.
Just to show you more places in the universe, and the nuclear bomb is coming. Julian finally understood that the energy vortex,
It's an alien spacecraft. Come to the rescue.
the aliens are now dead, and he ran inside to pick up the survivors, Kate Rock and a female scientist. I opened the front door to get out faster.
And others were a little hesitant at first, but they quickly understood.
I saw 2 aliens inside.
Cyclone Girl and Zero go ahead.
Then Kate and Julian followed while holding hands.
The spacecraft absorbed all the people and flew away, just before the nuclear bomb hit the base.
Completely destroy it.
A few hours later, the government came up with a cover story.
Say that the base was destroyed by a nuclear reactor. Experiment and call.
All the dead are fallen heroes.
Down, however, for survivors are now flying through space.